Welcome to the So Much More podcast, where we talk with people in the custom window treatment, soft home furnishings industry, and so much more. I'm your host, Ciel DeGuglielmo. Hi, welcome to today's podcast. One of the questions I get asked frequently is, what books do you recommend? If you've listened to the So Much More podcast for any length of time, you also know that I ask people what books they've read or if they're a book reader, and would they recommend any. And you've also probably heard me mention books that have inspired me, challenged the way I think, or completely changed the way I run my business. Sometime a while ago, Jackie Myers reached out to ask if there was a complete list. I'm so glad she asked me. I heard her request and I thought, well, that's something I should have been doing from the very beginning. So I thought that would be a great idea. I'll make it easy. And if you know me, it wasn't. I thought, I'll just ask ChatGPT to put it together for me. It told me it would take a while and it ran in the background. And every Monday morning I'd get an update. And after a few weeks of this, because I completely forgot it was happening, I thought, this can't be right. So I asked ChatGPT what was taking so long. It gave me an explanation. I accepted it and I moved on. And I waited. And I waited. Until I finally got annoyed with Chat and asked why it wasn't done. It told me I needed to give it the RSS feed. Well, I was just happy I knew what that was and where to find it. So I gave Chat what he asked for, and I waited some more. Then I asked again why it was taking so long, and Chat admitted it couldn't actually do what it asked me to do because it didn't have access to what it needed. So Chat and I took a little break from each other. Recently, we got back together, and I asked again, very nicely, if he could do this. Still couldn't. So my rebound boyfriend, Claude, and I have produced a list for you. Claude was very transparent, and I like that in a boyfriend. He told me it was most of the books. He explained why a few weren't included and gave me realistic expectations. I did appreciate the honesty. It also took 15 minutes, not weeks. So, thanks to Claude, I've put together a free PDF that lists most of the books that have been mentioned on the podcast over the years. It's a growing list. I thought it would be fun to have it all in one place. And part of the reason it's taking me so long to do it was because it wasn't perfect. I didn't have time to double check every single title. And every time I would go to write this script, I'd realize there was another book missing because there was one I wanted to talk about. I decided it was time to stop waiting and get it into your hands. So you will find it as a free download in the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library under free downloads. And there is also a link in the show notes for this episode for you to download it. When I update the list again in the near future, I will give you a new download. But for now, it's a pretty comprehensive list. Now, you know that I have not read every single book on this list. Some have been recommended by guests, but there are a few that I return to again and again, and I just wanted to talk about them for a couple minutes. The first book I want to talk about is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I believe this is probably the first book that falls under business or possibly self-help, although I don't think so, that I read that really made an impact on me. It's not really about business. It's more about taking responsibility for your life, setting goals, and understanding that successes don't happen by accident. Every time I pick it up, I'm reminded the small, consistent actions really do add up. And it's one of those books that just kind of encourage you to stop waiting and start doing. And it also drills down to some very basic principles. Another favorite is Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Thanks to Michelle Williams, who has joined me for our year-end book review episodes, I picked up this book, and it was a game changer. Creative people often start businesses because they love what they do, not because they love bookkeeping. And Profit First completely changed the way I think about money. And instead of hoping there's something left over at the end of the month, it taught me to make profit part of the plan from the very beginning. The Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library recently read it together as one of our book club selections, and I still recommend it all the time. Another book that I've gone back to more than once is Better Than Before by Gretchen Rubin. If you've ever struggled to create good habits or wondered why routines work for other people but not you, the book is fascinating. Gretchen explains that we're all motivated differently, and once you understand how you're wired, it's much easier to build habits that actually last. And as business owners, those little daily habits can make all the difference. If you go to Gretchen Rubin's website, she has a quiz for what she calls the 4 tendencies: upholders, obligers, questioners, and rebels. And once you understand where you fit in that, it makes it so much easier to determine what will work best for you in setting habits. And speaking of habits, another book that belongs on everyone's shelf is Atomic Habits by James Clear. If Better Than Before explains why habits work differently for each of us, Atomic Habits literally shows you how to build them by starting with the smallest possible start to a new habit. James Clear makes the case that tiny improvements repeated consistently create remarkable results over time. And you don't have to completely reinvent yourself in one day. You just have to get a tiny bit better every day. And that idea has really stayed with me. I've read that book multiple times. Along those same lines, I also love Eat That Frog by Bryant Tracy. It's been a few years since I've read this one. The idea is simple: do the hardest, most important thing first. And it's amazing how often we spend our day checking email or doing busy work instead of tracking the one thing that will really move our business forward. I do believe you've heard me use the term procrastinating. And every time I need a reminder to stop that, I think about this book. And while we're talking about routines, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod is another favorite. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to get up at 4 in the morning, but I do love the idea of beginning the day intentionally. Whether it's reading for a few minutes, planning your day, enjoying a quiet cup of coffee, or getting a little movement before the day gets away from you. Having a morning routine can change the way the rest of the day unfolds for you. And while you don't have to get up at 4 to do that, getting up before anyone else in your household or even 15 minutes earlier can give you that calm you need before the phone calls and the texts begin. Hal refers to the savers. It's silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and he uses the final S as scribing, which is journaling or just jotting down some thoughts, but specifically gratitude. And it's a great way to start your day. I've been doing that for years, and it's morphed a bit one way or the other, but I still get up before anyone else in my house, and I take those first couple minutes just for me. Then there's 212, The Extra Degree. It's a tiny book, but boy, is it powerful. And you can read it in one sitting. Here's the message. It's still worth reading, but here's the message. At 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212, it boils. That one extra degree creates steam, and steam powers engines. It's such a simple reminder that sometimes the difference between good and exceptional isn't a huge leap. It's just one more phone call, one more sample, one more follow-up, one more attempt before giving up. And following up on that book is Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. I absolutely love this book, and in many ways it just expands on that same idea, that one extra degree can completely change someone's experience. This book is filled with stories about creating experiences that people will never forget. And while it's written by someone in the restaurant industry, I found myself thinking about our businesses the entire time. Whether we're sewing draperies, installing shades, meeting clients, we have opportunities to surprise people with thoughtfulness. And it's a reminder that our products matter, but how we make people feel matters just as much, if not more. If you're a fan of The Bear, Will Guidara is one of the producers, and several of the episodes feature things that are in his book. Highly recommend that show. Highly recommend the book. One of the things I love most about reading business books is that someone else has already solved a problem you're facing. They've made mistakes, they've learned lessons, and then they have taken the time to write them down so you don't have to figure everything out the hard way. I know finding your next book can feel overwhelming, so hopefully this list will give you somewhere to start. So you can download the free PDF from the show notes, or if you're a member of the library, you'll find it under free downloads. If you're not a member, you can join the library for free by visiting csfrl.org. And if you have a favorite business or personal development book that I haven't mentioned on the podcast or you haven't heard mentioned, I'd love to hear about it. Send me a message, leave a comment, email me at info@csfrl.org, and I may add your recommendation to the list and maybe even feature it on a future episode. After all, every good library is always growing. And before I finish up today's podcast, I have a special request. If you are listening to this in real time and it's the middle of July when you're hearing this, the July-August issue of the Drapery and Design Digital Digest is going to be dedicated to celebrating the life and legacy of Sam Sloan. I have the blessing of Sam's family, and I'm inviting those who knew him to share a favorite memory, a lesson, a funny story, a reflection. Whether it's a few sentences or a longer tribute, your words will help preserve the legacy of someone who's made an immeasurable impact on our industry. If you have any photos of Sam that you're willing to share, I'd love to include those too. Please send your memories and photos to info@csfrl.org by July 30th so that I can include them in this special tribute. Thank you, if you do send it, for helping to celebrate Sam's life because he touched so many of us. And feel free to share this idea with anyone in our industry who knew Sam so that we can have as many people as possible share their memories of Sam. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day. The sponsors of the So Much More podcast allow me to bring guests to you each week, and without them, I couldn't do it. I'm pleased as the owner of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library that I can use the library to help sponsor the podcast as well. The library hosts the industry's largest curated collection of educational resources for the custom home furnishings professional. Membership to the library gives you access to a wealth of downloadable reference materials, videos, live events, as well as a community of support to help you develop your design, sales, and fabrication skills, and to grow or start a business. Join the library today at csfrl.org. The Workroom Channel is the premier online training provider for professional fabrication skills. Go to theworkroomchannel.com to browse the selection of anytime access courses created by industry experts. Watch detailed demonstration videos, download companion materials, and participate in private course discussion boards with your instructor and classmates from around the world. Start your course path today at theworkroomchannel.com. Education, networking, visibility, and industry discounts are just a few of the benefits that are offered to members of the Window Covering Association of America. The WCAA is the only national nonprofit trade association that's dedicated to the window coverings industry and the dealers, decorators, workrooms, designers, and installers that make up our membership. The library is a gold-level sponsor of the WCAA. Join today at WCAA.org. WCAA, where you are never in business alone. Discover Klimaka Studios, where innovation meets exceptional design. Klimaka fabric and wallpaper collections are inspired by the original works of collaborating artists and developed with the understanding of how fabrics are manipulated into exquisite soft home furnishings. Workroom businesses enjoy exclusive access to engineered designs and best trade pricing. From clever layouts to classic linen prints, Clamaka Studios delivers the quality and consistency that your business demands. And Clamaka's reliable, on-time delivery keeps your projects running smoothly. Go to clamakastudios.com for swatches and trade account information. Clamaka Studios, for the joy and profit of workrooms.